Hello and welcome to Halo Infinite Versus. This is GamingMagic13 here.
And GroupUnicorn71.
And this is going to be a first of its kind for this channel. It is a race to see who can complete Halo Infinite's campaign to 100% first. I've wanted to do a series like this for a long time on the channel, and now we're just finally getting around to it. There's a lot of rules and specifics of what exactly this consists of. For those of you who don't know what a versus is, you never heard this before, I'll go over all of that once we get into the opening cutscene, because it's a long cutscene, so I have plenty of time to explain things. But on that note, I'm sitting on the new game screen, ready to press A. Are you ready to go?
Yes, sir.
Alright, so then on the count of three, on 3, 2, 1, go, we'll press A to start a new game, and then I'll launch into my opening monologue as to what this is going to consist of. So, on 3, 2, 1, go. I forgot that there's another difficulty screen to select. God damn it.
So, that's what I was going to question you, but I was like,
I forgot.
Okay, wait.
I completely forgot about that. Off to a great start. Also, we're doing it on Legendary because, of course, we are. No skulls. I have found... Oh, wait. No, I haven't found them all because this is a new account. I forgot that. So, yeah, we can't do skulls anyway. Okay, let's try this again. 3, 2, 1, go. There we go. Okay. So, we are doing a versus on this game, mainly just because it's new. It came out in December, on December 8th of last year, so we're both relatively inexperienced on it. And in a series where we're trying to race to see who can get to the end of the game first, the idea is that we don't want it to be too heavily balanced in either direction, because any other game would lead to just one of us getting destroyed by the other. If we did a Forza game, he would cream me immediately. If we did one of the other Halo games, like maybe Halo 3, I think that would be too heavily scaled in my favor. But also just because this one's open world, so our perspectives for what we're going to be doing are going to likely be very different from each other. So for instance, you'll be able to see both of our screens simultaneously at showing what we're doing. So you'll be able to see, like, if I'm doing one of the main missions and battling Cheklock in his tower, and he's off doing one of the side Banished Outposts or just collecting Spartan cores, it'll offer a great difference in perspectives for what we're doing at each individual time. As for the question of why I'm showing you both of our footage simultaneously, it's meant just so that you can see exactly how we're doing along every step of the way. So there's never any question of who's doing what at what time. I'd rather leave it up to you entirely as to what you want to watch. If you want to watch me battle Cheklock, you want to watch him collect Spartan cores, that's up to you, because I could cut between each of our screens and I make the choice, but I'd rather leave the choice up to you for what you want to watch. It also just guarantees that I haven't cut anything out. Like, there's no point of contention of, well, we can't see his screen the whole time. I wonder if we cut out some footage to make it seem faster. There's going to be none of that. It's going to be both footage going live at once. We would live stream it if we wanted to, but the problem is the way we're recording this and being able to show footage simultaneously doesn't really work out all that well with this. Now, for those of you who know what a versus is, and you're like, wait, I've seen this in other YouTube channels, you're not original for this, to which I would say, you're right, we're not. It's not our idea. We didn't trademark it. But you know what else? No one else trademarked it either. No one has the trademark on doing a versus series, in much the same way that no one has a trademark on doing a Let's Play on any given game, so we are totally allowed to do this if we want to, and so we're going to do it. And for those of you who are new to Halo, and you don't quite know what actually earning 100% consists of in this game, well, it's a lot. We have to complete all 15 main story missions, take back all 7 Banished Outposts, reclaim all 12 forward operating bases, rescue all 20 Marine squads, destroy all 40 propaganda towers, eliminate all 15 high-value targets, find all 37 UNSC audio logs, 28 Banished audio logs, 39 Spartan audio logs, acquire all 45 Spartan cores, open all 34 armor lockers, scan all 7 Forerunner archives, and collect all 12 skulls. So there's a lot to do in this game, and we have a certain set of rules as to how we're actually going to be allowed to do it. So, rule number 1 is that there is no specific order we must complete objectives in. We can, if we want to, we can just blitz through the main storyline, get all the missions done out of the way, and then go mop everything up afterwards, like all the side stuff in the open world. Or we can wait to fight the Harbinger until absolute last, until we've done everything else. That's within our rights to choose how we do this, which I think is going to make our perspectives seem more dynamic and interesting between the two of us. Rule number 2 is that we're not allowed to skip cutscenes, which is why we're watching this right now. Mainly that's because I want to watch them, because the cutscenes are kind of awesome, and this game's story is great. And so long as we're both consistent about not skipping cutscenes, then it won't affect our position in the race whatsoever. Now, I'm going to add an addendum to that rule, which is that if a checkpoint places us before a cutscene, that we are allowed to skip it, having seen it once. So, like, for instance, the Escharum checkpoint for his boss battle, his checkpoint places you as soon as the cutscene starts. So once you watch that once, you're allowed to skip it to just skip straight to the boss fight. And then for holograms, like for non-mandatory holograms, we're allowed to completely bypass them if we want to. So if Escharum delivers a monologue, or in the last mission, for instance, some of the Cortana Aatrox scenes that are optional, we can run past those if we so choose to. So that's that. Rule 3, speedrunning and out-of-bound glitches and boss exploits, such as the Jaga or Domnite coil stacking, are not allowed. Just bar none. We're gonna try to fight them, and have it be a true test of skill. Rule 4 is that skipping encounters is frowned upon. Now, I'm not gonna get hung up over if one of us if we miss like 1 or 2 grunts, that's not the end of the world. The idea is that we don't want to be running through encounters and just not fighting anything, because that's lame. The only exception to that is the Sentinel room in the Silent Auditorium, because the skull in that mission is predicated on not killing any Sentinels, and the way this game works is that a lot of the times you'll get screwed over by things beyond your control, by which I mean, sometimes what'll happen is a stray grenade will go off that you couldn't see, or a grunt will stick a Sentinel with a grenade, and it's beyond your control. And because there's no revert to checkpoint option, I'm going to allow us to just grapple our way through that room and bypass it to not run the risk of missing the Sentinels whatsoever. And on that note, since some of the skulls and audio logs are missable if you don't get them on the first try, because, of course, the way this game works, currently, we don't have the ability to replay missions, which is unfortunate, but I'm hoping that gets remedied at some point in the near future so that we can actually replay missions that we choose to. So on that note, using a guide to ensure you don't miss anything is totally allowed. Now, once we get to the open world, it's going to become less of an issue, because, of course, then you can't miss anything in the actual open world itself, except for 2 audio logs in the Bassus fight room and excavation site. Everything else is, you can't miss them, because you can go back to anywhere you want at any time. But for the linear missions, namely the first 2 missions of this campaign, I am totally allowing you and myself to use a guide just to make sure we don't miss anything, and I'll go into a little bit more about that in a second. But as far as video length, each episode is going to be about an hour long. We're going to just do that to keep it consistent throughout the whole series, and then, of course, to reduce the file size for footage transferring purposes, and to make it easier for any of you to play along at home. So if you want to race along with us and see how you fare against us as we go throughout the series, then you'll be able to just kind of bookend your progress at the end of each hour mark. So there's that. Now, on that note, if we reach the 1 hour mark and we're in the middle of a mission, we're allowed to finish it. So, like, for instance, if I'm in the middle of fighting Bassus at excavation site, I would be allowed to finish that mission. Like, if the timer clocks over to an hour mid boss fight, I don't have to just like stop the boss fight in the middle of my tracks. We can go a little bit over until I beat him. But by that same token, he would also be allowed to keep playing so long as the timer keeps running. And we'll probably run a little bit over an hour every now and again, but we don't want to go too far over. We want to try to keep it generally consistent around an hour long. So there's that. Now, as for these first 2 missions, this first episode is gonna be us playing through mission 1, which is Worship Gabrakan, and mission 2, which is Foundation. And the thing with those 2 missions is that you can very easily miss a lot of stuff. And to be completely candid, we actually attempted to record the series once before, and it worked. Like, we got the episodes recorded, but the thing is that because we were so preoccupied with trying to find the collectibles, we almost missed them, and it made for a very awkward bit in the middle of the video. So what we're gonna do is that for this first episode, we're kind of gonna work together to make sure we don't miss anything, because if we miss any of these collectibles, it then means that the other person is just guaranteed a win, no matter what, because you can't complete the game 100% if you miss any of this stuff. So we're going to try to work in sync to some extent to make sure we can both get through the opening 2 missions, but then once we reach Outpost Tremonius and the doors open up to the open world, that's when all bets are off, and it's every man for himself to try to find everything else. So that's the game plan as we move forward here, just to make sure that everything is totally in sync and nothing goes awry there, because like I said, we tried this before. Didn't work out all that well, so we're giving it another shot today, which is why we have alt accounts. My account is Infinite Versus, and his is, I believe, BRZ at 416 horsepower or something along those lines. So, in case you're curious as to why our gamer tags are not the gamer tags you're used to seeing from us, that's why. It's because we're using alt accounts. mainly, but I mean, even aside from that, we had to make different alt accounts for that, but also we had to make alt accounts anyway, because, as some of you may know, audio logs don't reset when you start up a new campaign for the first time. I'm not entirely sure why, but they don't. So in order to make sure we could even have the opportunity to 200% this game, we had to make new accounts so that we could be able to collect audio logs in the first place. And then the only thing I have yet to say is that I'm playing an Xbox Series X, he's playing an Xbox Series S, which is going to affect the graphical fidelity of our footage, but will not affect our load times at all, which means it'll still be a completely fair experience for both of us. Beyond that, that's all I have to say about Halo Infinite Versus and the rules. So without further ado, let's grapple shred our way inside Warship Gabrakan and get this fight started.
Good timing.
Indeed. I did that both times. I timed that very well. Because like I said, we tried to record this once before, but it didn't. Oh, and in case you're wondering, I was ahead when we did this the first time, so the reason why we're restarting is not because I was falling behind and I wanted a second chance. I mean, to be fair, I wasn't ahead by much. Like, I'm pretty sure I was at the tower, and you were. What were you doing? Like, where did we leave off with our first recording session?
I think I was in open world when you like defeated like the bottom of the tower.
Yeah. So it wasn't like a gargantuan difference in our placements, but just in it to anyone who wanted to say that, oh, the reason why you restarted is because you were ahead and you wanted to get a second chance. It's not that at all. It's just that we wanted to try to redo this opening section so that we don't miss anything and we can get through. Because like I said, the opening part of this game is entirely dependent on making sure you don't miss anything. And just to be clear, this is just a friendly competition. You know, like, there's no money in line or anything like that. It's just a casual versus two friends having fun, playing a game, and chatting about stuff. But it is still a race. For as low as the stakes may be, you know, we both do still want to win. So that's kind of another reason why, as to why we reset everything. Just to, and then that's also what kind of might explain why we missed some stuff. Because when I did my stream of the game in January, where I collected everything 100%. I wasn't in danger of missing anything just because it was very slow paced, and because it was a slow paced live stream, I could take the time to make sure I collected everything. But when we're in a race, for as low as the stakes may be, you know, we both still want to win. So I think in our efforts to try to keep one jump ahead of the breadline and one swing ahead of the sword, we got a bit too preoccupied with trying to stay ahead that we forgot to actually look for stuff. Which is probably what happened there. And again, it wouldn't be a problem were it not for the fact that you couldn't replay missions. But I'm hoping that they change that in an update, so that like the ability to I imagine that probably the main problem as to why they don't have that in the game yet is because of the nature of the game and it being open world. Because the way this game works is that your weapons carry over between each playthrough. So obviously, when you have a mission reset, it kind of messes with the way that works. But you know, I'm sure they'll figure something out in the future. I will say, though, that the general community attitude towards 343 has been rather unhealthy, I would say, in regards to their, I guess, lack of patience with this game. And I don't know if you've seen any. I imagine you haven't seen much Twitter discourse about this game because Twitter sucks. But yeah, the Twitter has not been very kind to 343 recently. It's just
Twitter's never kind, so.
True. Yeah, that is kind of. But I feel like the Halo community is especially. Maybe toxic isn't. I mean, toxic is a word that gets thrown around a lot of communities, saying, "Hey, this community is toxic."
Some of the Halo community thought PS4 deserved Halo, so I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's the. I feel like the word toxic gets thrown around a lot, and not necessarily in the best of situations. Like, I feel like it's overused too much to the point where the actual toxic communities don't really get properly highlighted because the word loses its meaning a lot of the time when you use it too much. So there's that. But I do genuinely believe that the way Halo fans have spoken to some of the community managers is not very healthy. Like, for instance, they posted a spotlight recently, going over like a community spotlight of one of the employees and kind of their journey to 343 and how they got started in the game industry, and it was just full of people saying, "Oh, like, give us more content," and stuff like that. Even if something as simple as celebrating International Women's Day was flooded with comments of saying, "We don't care, give us more content." It's like, okay, there's a time and a place. Now is not the time or place for this stuff. So, yeah, but, I mean, to be fair, because saying stuff like that will get you labeled a 343 fanboy of saying, oh, what, you expect this to not have content? It's like, no, I agree. The game's multiplayer is certainly lacking in terms of content, and I'm hoping we get more soon. But there's an appropriate forum for when to talk about stuff like that, and that was just not the time or place. And also, I think that the problems with this game are easily fixable, by which I mean that it's not a problem of the game itself being flawed fundamentally, because the core gameplay, like the actual combat, is really solid stuff. It's just that there's no content to support, or there's significantly less content than there has been previously to support it. But that can be fixed. Like, you can always add more content, you can add more modes and stuff like that to a game, but if the core gameplay is flawed to the point where it's not even fun to play at all, then that's a lot harder of a problem to fix, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because, like, Halo 5, I stand by that game's combat is very fun. I mean, you and I did a stream playing through that game on co-op, and it was a nightmare to get through. So, and even its multiplayer was often too reliant on the kind of thruster and the insane amount of moves you could do. So, it kind of watered it down significantly. Whereas this game's core is well made, it's just that it needs more time to... It needs more time to cook, I guess, with getting more content added in. I will say, though, another reason why I wanted to do this series is because I had a feeling that given how radio silent 343 had been on the subject of campaign co-op, I had a feeling that it was going to get delayed again, and what do you know it? I was correct. The game has, or the co-op aspect of this game has indeed been delayed again, unfortunately. Which is why I wanted to do this, so that we could have an excuse to be able to play this game together, albeit through slightly unconventional means. Anyway, just so you know, oh dear god, in case you forgot, the skull is in the elevator room, like right before you turn around the corner and get on the turret. I don't know if you've gotten there yet.
I'm at the elevator room, just finishing off the enemies.
You're pretty much right where I am. I just picked up the skull and I'm about to go face down the turret. So yeah, we're pretty much neck and neck. Which I imagine is going to be most of the series. The thing that's going to... I didn't mention. The other thing that kind of causes problems was the Tremonius boss fight. Because Tremonius is just a very brutal difficulty curve for the first boss of the game.
Yeah.
So that's also going to be a thing that kind of decides who gets in front. But I also... Because when we played, you beat Tremonius before me. And you extended the courtesy of waiting for me to get done. So if I beat it first, I will extend the same courtesy to you. Just so that when we leave the first two levels, we'll be on even pace. And then when we get to the open world, it'll be, like I said, every man for himself. I think that works as a solution to this.
Yeah. Should be good. No way. That's...
Did you get grenaded?
No, I melee'd a any one.
That is unfortunate.
Mistake this time.
The other thing is that I don't think Halo Infinite's, because Halo Infinite's multiplayer is certainly flawed right now because of its lack of content. But I don't think that takes away from the phenomenal campaign, because Halo Infinite's campaign, I think, is easily among the best in the series.
Yeah, 100%. And the open world makes it, like, 20 times better.
For a multitude of different reasons, because on the one hand, it allows for a lot of replay value in terms of different things you can do in the order you can accomplish objectives and all that. It also works well for co-op when that eventually comes out. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Well, that's the thing. It was originally going to be May, but it was unfortunately delayed again, as I feared it might, because 343 had been radio silent about it.
I see.
So I had a feeling it might have been delayed, and unfortunately I ended up being correct, which is part of the reason why I wanted to do this series, that we had some way to experience this game together, even if it wasn't through the traditional co-op gameplay manner.
Yeah, it's a good change of pace. It's pretty cool.
It is. It's the first time we've ever done something like this, and we might do it for more games in the future. We just need to find games to do it for. Because like I said, for other games it would just be... For Halo 4, for instance, it wouldn't necessarily be unfair for either of us, because I think we both know Halo 4 kind of like the back of our hand at this point with how many times we've played through it. It's just that because it's a linear campaign, it wouldn't really make for a very interesting series, I don't think, because we'd be, I imagine, neck and neck for most of it. But for this, I imagine that what we do will be radically different from each other. So it'll be fun. I guess I could ask, I mean, I'll probably ask this question again after we finish the series. But right now, would you say it's better than Halo 4, or would you say it's, like, how would you rank it in comparison to Halo 4?
I would rank it probably a little bit higher, just because this is open world, and I like open world games more, just because I have more freedom of what to do.
I would rank it higher than Halo 4 as well, but I would do it because of the Prometheans, because or I guess rather the lack of Prometheans, I should say, because the Prometheans in Halo 4, like, the Knights teleporting was always a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have... Well, I will say, there is some teleportation in the game in the form of the Harbinger in the final boss battle there. That's... was certainly... That's my biggest fear, honestly, is fighting the Harbinger again. So we'll see how that goes. Okay. Oh, and, it's also worth noting, the honeymoon phase for Infinite has long since worn off, so my praise of Infinite's campaign has nothing to do with being in a... Cause that's something a lot of people like to say is, oh, you're just in the honeymoon phase or whatever. I have long since moved past any honeymoon phase. The honeymoon phase was in December during my first playthrough. That is long gone. I just genuinely think the game is phenomenal to play. And I mean, this is gonna be my 5th time playing through it, which should also be indicative of how much fun I have doing this. Because for...
This is your 5th time?
Yeah, so I played through it once for my blind playthrough for my first Let's Play. I played through it a second time on easy, just to race through the game to get the achievement you get for beating it in under... I think it's under 8 hours. You have to beat the game in under 8 hours, so I just did that on easy, just real quick. Then my third playthrough was when I streamed it in January going for 100%. And then... I also did another playthrough recently recording footage for an upcoming, because I'm making a video kind of going over how Halo Infinite fixed everything that Halo 5 broke, both in terms of story and gameplay. Because story-wise it was a disaster, and then gameplay-wise it just was so contradicted to how Halo had been established to be before that point. With the soldier, I mean, you remember the soldiers from our playthrough being just such a massive pain in the ass. Yeah. Because they were like Knights on steroids. Because the Knights teleported, but not as often and as sporadically as the Halo 5 soldiers did, which made things even worse. So yeah, and to make that video, I'm also going to be going over, like, I'm going to be comparing it to Halo 5 and all that, so I wanted to record footage of, well, I played through the whole Halo series, I should say, recording footage of every game along the way as a kind of a comprehensive look at how things have, because boss fights are another thing that have never really found a place in Halo. Like, even in Halo 2, do I even need to remind you of the pain that is Regret's boss battle? Yeah. And then Halo 5 had the Warden Eternal, which was copy-pasted 9 times in a row. So there's that. Okay, I've just reached the console in the control center.
I'm destroying the thingies on the sides.
The things on the side. I will say, though, I'm looking forward to after this. I'm looking forward to just kind of playing the game by myself, because all 4 of my playthroughs up until this point, including this one, have been for content, whether that be for a stream or a video, or just to record footage for a video. I've always had to think about the game from a content perspective in some capacity. I've never really had the chance to just sit back and enjoy the game for myself. Because even when I was, I mean, the closest I came to that was my most recent playthrough when I was just recording footage. But even then, that was, I couldn't record for too long because I would run out of space on my computer, because I had been recording footage of all the Halo games, and with how long the missions are and how recording at 1080p 60, you run out of storage pretty quickly. So that was the thing I had to keep on my mind. So I've never really just had the chance to just sit back and play the game. So I'm looking forward to after this. Doing that, and I imagine I'm gonna have time to do that because, like I said, the co-op has been delayed, unfortunately. But whenever co-op does come out, I'm looking forward to being able to play through it with you, because that is something we've always done, is playing through the Halo campaigns co-op, even for as For as painful as Halo 5 and Halo 2, and Halo Wars 2 were, honestly. Like, Halo Wars 2 took us a lot of time to get through. I think that was a total of 10 hours of, well, probably more than 10 hours of streaming. I think it was 10 hours, like, of successful runs. But that one beach mission, where we literally had to exploit the AI to win, that was just a nightmare.
Yeah.
Because, I was building troops... Or, sorry, you were building troops as fast as you possibly could. And I was, trying to keep them back on the beach, using every trick I knew to do it. And even then, it still wasn't enough to win in the end. We literally had to resort to exploiting the AI, which is never something that you should have to do. When playing a game. Oh boy. Oh Jesus, I missed the grapple on the brute. The first... have you destroyed the two things yet?
Yeah, I destroyed. I just killed everything. And activated the boom to destroy.
Got it. The first part of this mission, or I guess the last part of the mission, is tough, just because they know how to surround you and get angles on you from up above. So it's a lot of
yeah.
They have
you have to take the ones up above down first, and then focus on the bottom.
And they just come at you from all different angles.
Yeah.
This makes it a tough introduction. Oh dear. So here's a question. Have you seen the Cuphead show recently?
No, I haven't.
No. I haven't seen it either. I've heard some good things about it. I've also heard some bad things about it, so I don't know what to expect. But it came out in February. And the animation style looks charming, but it also doesn't look anywhere near as good as the game. But I guess it's also an unrealistic expectation to expect it to be as good. Because the way that game was made was the developers spent years, like, hand painting all the cells and stuff like that, so it was, obviously a lot more time and care was put into it than a large studio could do under a time constraint. Because the indie devs who made it were able to take as much time as they wanted to kind of make it what they wanted to be, but obviously at a studio you have contractual obligations, you have time limits, you have deadlines to meet, whereas they had no deadlines to meet for any of it, which allowed them a bit more creative freedom. It's also just why, that's kind of generally speaking why I prefer indie games to AAA executives. Because, or like AAA titles. Because generally speaking, AAA titles are much more neutered. The creative vision of what they wanted to do is much more neutered compared to indie devs who can just kind of express themselves in whatever way they want to. Like, It Takes Two was just a massive burst of creativity all across the board. And it showed in every facet of the gameplay. And I'm looking forward to seeing what else that studio makes moving forward.
Yeah. That game was fun. And A Way Out was fun too.
Yeah, A Way Out was... that studio in general makes great games. Just consistently. So I'm looking forward to the next big game, whenever that comes. It'll probably be years before it comes out, because it takes a long time to actually make their games. But I'm definitely looking forward to seeing whatever it consists of, eventually. Okay, now I can finally take a drink now that the cutscene's playing. Oh, one more thing I forgot to mention is that I got my first accusation of sending death threats earlier this week.
Wait, what did he say? There's a bunch of explosions in the street.
Fair enough. So, basically, I think Reddit might be worse than Twitter, because...
Oh yeah, 100%.
But I made a series covering Toy Story 4 and kind of everything that movie did wrong, and ruffled some feathers, to say the least. It was very well received from my audience, but some people are very unhappy that I tore into Toy Story 4 in that series, and they took to Reddit to make themselves known, with one of the most notorious posts accusing me of having sent death threats to the director, which is not a thing I've ever done, and it was unsubstantiated entirely. So, actually no, they did show a picture saying that I was assaulting the director, and the picture was of me. One of my fans was asking for assets to make a fan video, like putting Josh Cooley's the director of Toy Story 4, putting his face over the evil Emperor Zurg from Toy Story, just as kind of like a funny meme. And that was their example of my audience and myself being horrible monsters that wish death upon the director. And it's one of those moments that makes you go, like, how do you get anything done during any given day when your cognitive capabilities are this non-functional? Because I don't know, it's Reddit's a bit of a, I guess it's just Reddit having a normal one. Reddit and Twitter are both just the dregs of internet discussion, from what I can tell.
Yeah, I made a post on, like, I don't know why I made a post, but I think I made a post on the Halo Infinite subreddit asking,
and that's where you went wrong.
I asked if they could remove aim assist from the game, and everyone starts to roasting me, saying people need aim assist, you're just bad at the game for using aim assist. I'm like, wait, what? And then someone said, oh, you're not better than people just because you don't use aim assist. I'm like, yo, relax. I'm just asking for an easy feature to be removed. You know?
There are ways, because there are ways to oh, I forgot the grapple shot. Okay, I saved myself, but the grapple shot, I need to upgrade the grapple. The second we get the Spartan cores, the first thing I'm doing is the grapple shot cooldown. The first thing I'm doing is cooling down this grapple shot. But as I was saying, there are ways to express yourself in a non-toxic way. From what you've just told me, I mean, I'm not surprised, unfortunately. Like, that just seems indicative of the standard Halo community. Well, I mean, I was talking about this earlier in the video. The Halo community I find to be very toxic at times. It kind of makes me embarrassed to even call myself a Halo fan because of how the general reputation that the fan base has. But yeah, it's also interesting because aim assist has to be implemented. Like, that's a thing that if they can toggle on, they can toggle it off. But also they have done it in the past with the first two games specifically. I'm sure you remember this, but they had a skull where if you turn it on, it would disable aim assist. So, you know, it does exist. He almost fell. It does exist. It's just I don't think they ever will, because generally speaking, the community is used to having aim assist. Because I think Siege might have warped the way you play FPS games, because that's
yeah, 100%.
To my knowledge, I think that's like the only console FPS game that doesn't. Okay, maybe only is an exaggeration, but one of very few games on console that actually doesn't have aim assist, which is saying something. Because you know, generally speaking, controllers have less precision with aiming than mouse and keyboard does, which is why a lot of them have aim assist. So I don't think it's inherently an awful thing, but when you are used to a game like Siege that doesn't have any aim assist, it can definitely be jarring to then go to Halo, which is like the quintessential console FPS game. It has aim assist. Alright, I just finished the escape sequence for Warship Gabrakan.
I have an elite holding a sword to this guy's nose. Or whatever the thing is. I'm in a cutscene.
So you're not, so I'm a little bit behind you.
You're just a little bit behind. This should be fine.
And like I said, I'm not particularly worried, because once we get to the open world, it'll be when we start to branch out a little bit more.
Yeah.
Also, the skull in the next mission, and Tremonia specifically, are the 2 points that are going to be defining as to how far ahead we are. Because
I just have to remember that once you get out of the elevator, it's in a room close to that. So for the skull, and then I think else is normal. It's easy.
It's basically like immediately after you see the holograms appear after you get the weapon the first time. That's where the skull is. It's in that room.
Yeah.
But I was more so talking about the actual mechanics of getting the skull, because using the grapple shot to get that thing without the cooldown is a bit of a nuisance, because you have like one shot to grapple onto that ledge, and if you miss, you're dead. You are
really?
Well,
I don't think I've ever died. Maybe I have, I don't know. It's been a while.
We'll see when we get there, I guess.
Yeah, because there's no fall damage in the game.
Oh, so the reason, what I mean is that, like, if you below the skull is a giant chasm, so if you don't land on that ledge, you fall into the pit below. That's what I mean. Which, by the way, the lack of fall damage makes this game so much better.
Oh, 100%. If there's fall damage in this game, I would cry.
Yeah, it would be actually painful if there was fall damage. And obviously that was implemented specifically because it's open world, but it still helps a lot. Because otherwise climbing up those mountains would just be horrible.
Yeah.
Oh, I was mentioning the Harbinger earlier. Did you have problems with her, or did you get lucky and get through that first try?
Harbinger is last boss, right?
Yeah, very last boss. Teleports around, shoots blue balls at you.
I don't think I had that many issues with her. Oh, Jesus Christ.
The reason why a lot of people cite that it's being tough is just because, mainly the Hammer Chieftain.
Yeah, that's the only issue I had with that boss fight, was the enemy, like
the enemies themselves.
Ads, yeah.
Yeah. The Harbinger, honestly, I've found it. I've found that so long as you use your grapple, she can't really hit you with the blue balls. It's just that hammer guy, and trying to stay ahead of him while dealing with all the enemies that can be a bit of a nuisance.
Yeah.
But I bring that up because when I did my stream of it in January, I managed to beat the Harbinger first try with no deaths on Legendary, and someone sent in a super chat because of it. It's like, congratulations on your epic gamer skills, have some money.
Oh.
So that's nice. But I will say, super chats are a thing that can be very easily misused by a lot of content creators. Because something that I've seen some YouTubers do is not read the chat unless it's a super chat, which I think is just scummy. Because it's basically like, if you want... It's basically like, if you want me to acknowledge your existence, you better pay up, and then I'll read your comment. Otherwise, you all are plebs to me. Which I've never really understood.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, it works, to be fair. It does work, because you see sometimes with content creators like this, where they'll start streaming, and then within a second, there's already super chats pouring in, asking questions that they want answered. So it's a format that works. It's just, I personally think it's kind of scummy to basically say, I will not read your comment unless you super chat me. So that's basically, I try to employ the mantra of, I mean, it's impossible for me to read every single message, because as I'm playing a game, I'm going to miss something, just because as my audience grows, more people are in chat, and depending on the intensity of the game, different games require different amounts of attention from the player, so it's easy to miss something that scrolls by. And of course, for a YouTuber like Markiplier or Jacksepticeye, that I doubt they even try, to be honest with you. And I don't necessarily blame them, because when you have an audience of that size, it's almost impossible to keep up with the chat at that point.
I'm just surprised, like, a few big streamers, like, they consistently read the chat and, like, multitask playing the game and stuff. That's, like, crazy.
And to those who do, I have mad props for, because they show a passion for their community, and they want to make sure everyone feels involved. But I imagine for a lot of people, it's not very easy to do that.
Yeah. Oh, it's 100% not easy to do, so, like, the people who do it are crazy. That's crazy respect.
Also, I've made a massive mistake. I forgot to refill kinetic ammo before leaving the warship, which means I have no pistol ammo right now.
Oh.
So we're gonna have to make the best of it until I find an alternative. Currently, my loadout is plasma pistol, pulse carbine.
I'm using mangler and pistol.
That is a good combo. Oh, I doubt you've seen this discourse, but a lot of people in competitive Halo hate the mangler in multiplayer.
Oh, I hate the mangler as well.
Really?
The mangler's so dumb. It's dumb, dude. You just it's like using a sword. It's basically a sword. You just use it, and then you use it only close range, so you never miss because of aim assist. Okay, that needler jacket just messed him out. You use it in multiplayer, so you never miss, and you literally just use it. It's like the shotgun melee combo, and like other Halo games. You just shotgun someone and then spam melee until it, like, clicks.
Yeah, that is typically what happens.
It's just kind of bullshit sometimes.
But it does at least require you to aim, whereas the sword, I've found way more issues with the sword in Halo Infinite than anything else, because the way that sword works, like I don't know if you've noticed this, but usually in previous Halo games, you've had to, for plasma-based weapons, you would have to pick up a new plasma weapon once it ran out of battery, but in Halo Infinite, you can just walk over another plasma weapon and it'll immediately refill your ammo for it, which works great.
I kind of like that.
Well, I mean, it works great for campaign, because, like, in the heat of combat, you don't always have time to search for another weapon of that kind. But the reason why this makes the sword annoying is because the way the sword works as a power weapon is that it has a finite amount of ammo. Whereas in multiplayer, if you can just run over another sword, specifically in Fiesta, where everyone spawns with random weapons a lot of the time, and sometimes you get the sword. Like, I genuinely despise Fiesta in this game. Like, I actually hate... I used to always love playing Fiesta. In case you don't know, Fiesta is, like, you spawn with random weapons each time, so it's like a new... Yeah. So, but in this game, because the sword, when you walk over, you immediately refill your ammo to maximum capacity. Basically, when one person gets a sword, it's kind of game over at that point, because at that point, you can just grapple sword someone, and then it's just game over. So...
Yeah.
I definitely much prefer Infinite's campaign to its multiplayer. I mean, I still have fun playing multiplayer, but what I really cared about was the campaign. And the way I saw it, if the campaign was great, I would have got my money's worth. I mean, well, I say that, but I mean, the multiplayer is free, so can't really say I got my money's worth, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It was worth the wait, I should say. It was worth the 6-year wait between 5 and Infinite for just the campaign alone. And it's not to say I don't have fun, because I mean, the community streams we've done, I've had a lot of fun playing with viewers, and I'm looking forward to doing more of those in the future. It's definitely some things that 343 needs to fix moving forward.
Yeah, just a few more things they need to fix, and then campaign and multiplayer will be, like, golden. The only reason I don't play the multiplayer now is just because it's kind of annoying, in a sense, because the ranking system is really weird. Like, some games you get a bunch of points, some games you don't get any, or not points, whatever you wanted,
like MMR?
Slider. Yeah, MMR, but I don't know if this game has MMR. It's really, see, I don't.
So, interestingly, well, this is going to date the video, but just yesterday, 343 released a blog post kind of explaining how the ranking system works, so I can provide some intel on how it works if you want a bit of an insider, well, not insider, but like a bit of an in-closer look of how it goes down. So, basically the way it works is that there's two different ranking systems at play. There's CSR and MMR, and CSR is basically what rank it says you have, so that be, actually, I might be getting these reversed. It might be the reverse, but it's, there's two different rankings, one of which consists of, like, Diamond 1 or Gold 6 or whatever. That's your placement. And then MMR is the actual number assigned to your character or your account that is indicative of your skill. I don't know if it's the reverse, but those are the two different values that determine how your skill is. So, and so I believe the way it works is that for MMR is usually determined by how well you do in the match, whereas CSR is indicative of whether you win or lose. So what might happen is you might have a game where you play really well, like you get a lot of kills or you get a lot of assists and you just play well throughout the match, but you don't win, so your CSR doesn't go down that much, but you still don't go up. Whereas inversely, you could have a game where you win, like you win in a landslide even, but you personally did not contribute much to the team. Like maybe you had a low KD, so that'll make it such that you still go up, but you may as well not go up, because while you may have won, you didn't contribute much to the team, so that affects how much you go up. And I could be that's kind of a loose version of like how it works. For anyone listening, you're more than welcome to go read the blog post for yourself to get a more in-depth look at like how it functions, but that's kind of the long and the short of how it goes down. But I will say there's one more thing I forgot to mention that makes it kind of dumb. So, oh god, I just got flanked by an elite. Please, I can survive this. Got it, okay. So, I don't know if you noticed this, but have you ever noticed that sometimes you feel like you're going you're placed against people in ranked matches that are either way better or way worse than you think you should be placed up against.
Mm-hmm.
So there's two reasons why that's happening. One, basically it tries to have it so that the teams are 50-50 balanced every time, so that it'll be that, like, you have, if you're really good, didn't see that grenade. It'll try to find weaker players to balance out your team and vice versa. The idea is that they want each player to have a 50% win rate throughout the game's lifespan kind of thing. But the other reason why that happens a lot is because your MMR is actually determined by non-ranked games as well. Meaning that if you play a bunch of social games, like non-ranked and all that, and you do really, really well, that will impact the types of people that you play in ranked games. Now, the obvious problem...
That's not right.
Yeah, so what I was going to say is the obvious problem with that is that what I can do... I mean, I haven't done this because I don't... Like, I'm not invested enough in ranked Halo to want to do this. But what I could easily do, if I wanted to, is play a bunch of bot boot camp games, which are basically guaranteed to win, and I could be immediately ranked up or placed up against, like, diamond players without ever actually having won any ranked games in my life. And inversely, I could tank a bunch of my social games without ever losing any ranked games to not impact my CSR, but impact my MMR, which will then cause me to play against lower players in ranked, which, I mean, you don't, I mean, I'm sure you don't need me to...
That's just messy. Like,
you played ranked Siege.
Yeah, the whole point of ranked is for competitiveness, not for it to be mixed with casual and stuff.
Yeah, and I know I didn't explain that to you because you played Siege, you know how all that works. I'm sure you knew what I was going to say before I even said it. But for those watching who may not be familiar with kind of how ranked stuff works, I wanted to go over it just to give the general lowdown of the system.
Yeah, that makes... They need to fix that. No wonder, because whenever I play ranked, like in this game, it just kind of feels unfulfilling, because sometimes your team just completely wipes the other team, sometimes you just get completely wiped because you have bad teammates and you're not having the best game either. So it's like really weird to know that social games are also part of MMR. Because that just makes ranked kind of cosmetic. It's like, why have a ranked mode if it's just going to be kind of useless, you know?
Yeah. Because at that point, anyone can artificially buff it up by just losing a bunch of games in a row, and then, well, I mean, you know how that goes.
Yeah. Like, you just become Onyx without even playing ranked once. It's like, what?
And I believe the way they tried to justify it is by saying that they need some way to determine what your rank is to try to help with initial placement matches. And I think the comparison they used is that, like, if you're running a marathon, and you're trying to determine how good someone is at running, sprinting in a 2K is not going to be on par. It's not a one-to-one comparison with sprinting in a 5K, but it will at least offer some indication of how good of a runner you are before you tackle the 5K. But the reason why that's not an apt comparison is because it's a measure of distance versus a measure of who you're playing against. Because in a race, the only thing determining how well you do is yourself. So a 2K is just like you ran for a shorter distance than you would in a 5K. Whereas in social versus ranked, generally speaking, in social you're going to have an easier time than ranked, because obviously the people who want to play social just want to get back and have fun, which I do more often than not because I just want to relax when I play games. But for those who want a competitive experience, if their ranking is going to be determined by those social games, which can offset it significantly. Anyway, as a progress update, I've just reached the weapon.
Okay.
I just reached the weapon.
Okay, I just got off the elevator for the weapon. I'm gonna try to grapple my way
grapple to get the skull
without dying.
So here's a question I have for you that I haven't seen many people bring up, but I wanna pose the question to you and see what your thoughts on it. Do you think the weapon, through absorbing all of the dust and echoes around the area has merged with Cortana?
I would say probably. It's probably the same, but like AI is weird, so the AI could be like, oh, look what this AI became. AI was a past version of me, so let's not do that. But I don't know how AI works.
Well, here's my thought process. You know the scene in the repository when the weapon says, "I'm her," and like it's a big dramatic reveal of saying like, "Wait, I'm a copy of Cortana," and that stuff. Mm-hmm. That confused me in my first playthrough because like I already knew that she was a copy of Cortana because in the Shadows of Reach book, that was the whole thing, was they were going back to Reach to get the 3 clones of Halsey's brain that they could use to build another AI based on Cortana in order to counter Cortana in the battle. So I already knew that, which is why because it was building up to be this big dramatic, reveal of like, wait, it's a copy of Cortana? Oh my god, who could have guessed it? But I was just sitting there like, but I already knew that. What are you talking about, game? So and my immediate thought, because I was so confused, was, oh, because I was trying to figure out how it was supposed to be taken as a big reveal. If they wanted to be a big reveal, what could they have meant other than she's just a copy of Cortana? And what a thought I had was, oh, wait, are they trying to say that she is Cortana? Like, she is Cortana's physical form that's been, or it's like, it's hard to explain, but it's like the weapon's physical form that's been imbued with the memories and past life of Cortana, kind of thing. So, and you might think that sounds ridiculous as a concept, but what I would say in response is that it actually has happened before, because the way that Didact got created is, I believe the initial form of Didact was, like he merged with a different version of himself to, and his memories of his past self in order to become the person he ultimately became. So it's not even, like, beyond the bounds of reason within the Halo universe that it could be a thing that happens. So I'm wondering if that's what they're trying to say, is that, like, throughout the course of the story, as Chief finds more of these dust and echoes scattered around the Halo ring, the weapon becomes... The weapon's blank slate of Cortana's model has now been infused with the memories of Cortana, which is why in that cutscene she feels responsible for what Cortana has done, even though she, as the new form of Cortana, hasn't actually done anything herself to warrant that kind of guilt. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So that's kind of where my theory brain is thinking right now. Currently, I'm just trying to get the skull with the grapple cooldown, which is easier said than done.
Yeah, I died like... I like how the first, 3 times I've tried to get that skull, I did it first try. You mentioned falling into the void, and then I fall into the void 20 times. Yeah, it's tough to... It's unlucky.
I'm currently still trying. I'm assuming you've already got it.
Yeah, I got it on, my 7th or 8th try.
I have not been counting. I think I'm on, try 4 or whatever. But the trick that I use to get this, I just try to get up as high as I possibly can. I just got it. Okay, cool. I like how I just got to... What I have to do is I have to talk about what I'm doing, and then I get it or not first try, but I got it as I started talking about how hard it is to do. But the trick I use is I try to get as high as I can, because of how long it takes the grapple to cool down, I have to, try to delay the time between grapples as much as possible. So the higher up I go, the longer it takes Chief to fall down, which means it takes more time for, which means I have more time for the grapple to recharge, if that makes any sense.
My character just walked off the map because...
Oof. Was the checkpoint after getting the skull, I hope?
Yeah, it was.
Okay, so that's good.
No, I stopped on a bridge to look at the guide to make sure I didn't miss anything before I go through this cutscene.
Oh, dead zone. That's a dead zone problem. I don't know why.
Yeah, I know. I normally don't have my move dead zone on off or 0, but I put it on just because I forgot. I put both my aim and move on on 0, but I forgot I don't put move on 0. So as I was looking at the YouTube video, I walked off the map.
Yeah, I don't know why, because I don't usually have a problem with dead zones, but for some reason in Halo Infinite, I've had a big problem with dead zones. I've had to adjust to like it ever so slightly since launch to make sure it was just perfect. Because I remember that exact thing happening to me where I was just like I think it was in the tutorial, and then I was looking away at something real quick, and I looked back and my character was suddenly on the other side of the room. It's like, wait, how did that happen? I was standing here and now all of a sudden I'm over there. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's annoying how Xbox makes these $150 Pro controllers and they still have the same issues as their first one.
Oh yeah, and you have the Elite. I don't even have the Elite. I just have like the standard controller, and you have the Elite controller. That's gonna be a yikes for me.
I have the second edition of the Elite controller, the Elite Pro or whatever it's called, number 2.
Elite Series 2 or whatever.
Yeah. It's a good controller, but the dead zone, like, I don't understand why the dead zone was screwed up.
See, I've been reluctant, because I do kind of want to get it, or at least I did want to get an Elite controller, if only just because, mainly for this, because this Halo is like the main game I play a lot, and the equipment switcher, I actually hate. I hate the equipment switcher so much because of how cumbersome using the D-pad is. So I think if I had an Elite controller, I could use the 4 paddles in the back to more easily switch between them. But I can't justify spending that much money on a controller to myself just because I don't, like, it's not that important to me, I guess.
Yeah.
But also just because I've heard a lot of less than desirable things about the Elite controller from a lot of people. Because some people say it's just because they don't maintain the controllers well, so it wears off faster. Some people say that there were problems in the beginning when they started manufacturing them, but that since then, in new iterations of the controller, it's been fixed. So I don't really know what to make of it, but
the first gen Elite controller is kind of wonky. I have one if you really want it. I just have to clean it really well since it's kind of like falling apart. But I would definitely recommend the second edition because the problem with the first edition was the grips. It's when your hands would sweat, it would like make the glue on the end of the grips like kind of like give in, so it like starts peeling off. And with the Elite controller 2, the whole place where you hold your hand is a grip now. So it's like all connected, so it can't really fall off. The paddles are a lot nicer to the touch. It's you don't have to use batteries for it. That's another big reason why I like this controller a lot more. I don't have to worry about batteries. And yeah. What's it called? The trigger, what's it called? The hair triggers are a lot nicer too.
Yeah, those are all definitely good reasons to get one. It's just a matter of whether I can justify spending that much money on it, personally, of course.
Like,
I definitely see the appeal of it.
If you play competitive games a lot, it's 100% worth it, though.
Oh, totally. My only question would be, in that case, for those competitive types of things, do they mandate a specific required controller for those events? Because at that point, like if for an esports tournament, for instance, are you allowed to bring your own controller, or does it mandate that everyone has to play in the same hardware? That'd be my question, because I genuinely don't know the answer.
I think you could bring whatever controller you want. Like that's why like you could either use Microsoft's controller, or you could use like a Scuff controller. I know Scuff makes controllers for Xbox that are, I think they're either a little bit cheaper or a little bit more expensive, but they're way worse build quality wise. So
yeah, I still remember when we were playing Combat Evolved with, I don't know if I'm allowed to say his name, Scrubby. I don't know if he gave me consent to use his first name in videos, but I'll say Scrubby because you know who that is. And he said he was browsing for a new controller to buy, like a modded one or whatever, and then he said, $300 for a Forza Scuff Elite controller, that's insane. And you distinctly said, nobody likes Scuff. Scuff is terrible. Don't ever buy things from them. If you want to waste $300, then by all means. But, so that, I distinctly remember that. So I took it as a note, like,
Scuff never had the best. Like, yeah, I guess it's okay if you've been in the Scuff brand for a while. But, like, the way they made their paddles and buttons and the way it was, like, set up was, like, really weird. Like, it wasn't buttons. It used to connect. Like, there were some products they make where it literally is a whole, like, I don't know how to explain it, but it was literally you stick something onto your A, B, X, Y buttons, and there would be a paddle, like, I don't know if I'm explaining this well. It would be like you're pressing a paddle, but it would actually just be you pressing the button. It was like a lever, I guess.
That's interesting.
Back of your paddle. Like there would be something. There would be like a paddle, like on my controller. You would click it, but you have to stick something on the B button, and it like goes around the back of the controller, and it's like there. So it's like really weird.
Yeah, that does sound like it's a weird design choice.
And those are the cheaper controllers. It was like the top of the line controllers are a little bit worse compared to the Elite controller. That's the only reason why I got the Elite controller, because I wasn't I didn't feel like switching to PC all of a sudden. I didn't feel like getting a keyboard and mouse because it's just kind of scummy for console. And I didn't feel like buying like a gaming PC because like, I'm not an esports player. I don't need a game on PC. Like, even though PC is objectively better than Xbox, like Xbox is just better for casual use.
Yeah, it's more convenient because you boot it up and it all just works. I cannot express to you how many problems I've had with trying to... just PC compatibility problems in general. Like, the PC version of this game has been a nightmare to get running properly. I don't know if you've seen all the hassle that the port of this game has gone through on PC, but it has been a rocky experience to say the least. Like, obviously there was the problem with the audio, but even beyond that, it doesn't really run all that well from a perspective of frame rate. Like, the frame rate is very inconsistent on PC, which is obviously a problem for a first-person shooter game, because for something of a lesser... For a less action-oriented game, frame rate can more or less be not as important. But for something as fast-paced as this, 60 FPS is, like, mandatory for fast reaction times. And unfortunately, the PC version of this game does not always maintain that. Also, I don't know where you are in the mission right now, but I am currently facing up against the plasma turret.
I'm on the bridge. Yeah, I think I'm near that, too. And I just died again. I literally cleared out the whole room, and since I turned my game volume down to, like, hear you better, I get blown up by a plasma grenade that was right next to me.
Oh, that happened to me. That happened to me twice in, like, the past 5 minutes. I also have my game volume lower so I can hear you better. And I didn't hear the plasma grenade to my right, and that got me screwed over. That got me killed. But yeah, as I was saying, because, so... in this section, there's what's it? There's a piece of cover that moves, so you have to move to keep up with the piece of cover. Didn't know that until it was too late. But yeah, the PC version has some inconsistent frame rate issues. Also, I remember when I streamed it for the first time and I got to the open world, I was ready to say, like, look how gorgeous the open world is, for those who didn't watch my Let's Play and were just tuning into the stream. And then as soon as the doors opened, the sky had a seizure. Like, the skybox just actually spazzed the hell out. Like, I think I was mid-sentence saying, look at how gorgeous this game... Oh my god, what the hell is this? It's a weird experience. Eh. Okay.
Can you die? Holy shit. I just put like 20 mangler shots in this guy and he didn't die.
I believe I'm about to get the shield core upgrade, to give you an idea of how far behind I am.
Okay.
I've not faced off against this.
Dude, I'm gonna scream. I've died to another plasma grenade.
That's a big
Please don't
weakness.
reset, and it reset me all the way back. Of course it did.
Okay.
Oh my goodness, this is a disaster.
Yeah. You were saying something about the shield core upgrade.
I don't know if I'm near that.
Oh. Have you reached the skewer room yet? Like the you know, the one with that one guy standing at the top?
I'm still on the plasma turret. Because it keeps...
Oh,
I literally kill all the enemies, and then I get blown up by some random ass grenade.
That... You want to know something? That is literally the exact same way that I died like 3 times in a row. To the exact... I think it was the exact same grunt that threw the grenade all 3 times, and it screwed me over.
Chief, stop. How is that a Spartan? We need to find out what happened.
Oh, this is just a pain. You're gonna get so far ahead of me.
I don't know about that, because Tremonius is what's going to slow me down. I've only just got the Shokro upgrade. So you're like, you're right behind me.
This is Spartan Bonita Stone, recon specialist. Her vitals have been offline for nearly a month.
I'm still nervous about the Tremonius fight. That's like the one boss I don't really have a consistent strategy for. I've found well, I was gonna say I found consistent strategies for all of them, but if I say that, then I'm just gonna be immediately proven wrong. The second I get to them, the game's gonna be like, oh, what? You said you had a consistent strategy? Lol. Here, how'd you like to die 5 million times to the same enemy? So I'm gonna keep my mouth shut on that note for the time being. But I at least have a strategy that seems to be somewhat consistent. I just got sniped by Jackal snipers. But for Tremonius, the Hydra's just such a pain. Like, the ability that he has to... Oh, this is a checkpoint. The ability that he has to be able to shoot you from, like, halfway across the... It's the fact that he can shoot you from so far away, and the fact that the Jackals are just a nightmare, with their because they both have Manglers, and I'm sure you've been able to tell. The Mangler is kind of a beast. Don't snipe me. Thank you. Oh, God almighty. I'm facing off against 2 Jackal snipers, and I'm missing literally all my shots. Every single one has been missed. Okay, I finally hit one of them. Oh boy. Yeah. Of all the boss fights, which one would you say gave you the hardest time?
Probably Tremonius. Oh god. Oh god. Oh god. Oh god.
On my heroic playthrough, ow. On my On my heroic playthrough, I would probably say the Harbinger, honestly. I think on heroic, it was a really good difficulty escalation throughout the whole game, in terms of how the bosses got harder and harder. But legendary, I was not expecting Tremonius to be as hard as he was. Because he wasn't, I mean, he was, you know, a challenge on heroic, but he wasn't brutally hard. But on legendary, he just goes from, you know, a nice challenge to, good god, prepare to die 1,000,000 times in a row. That's gonna set off the fusion coil, damn it. Time to get out of here.
Did I miss? Oh shit, I almost missed something.
The banished audio log by the door past the plasma turret?
Yeah, I need to go back for it.
Ouch.
Jesus
that would have been
Christ,
bad.
I almost missed that because I only get... I need to turn my game sound up.
Oh yeah, to hear the beeping, yeah.
Yeah, I normally hear... I watched the video, I'm like, okay, I'll hear the beeping for this. But I forgot I can't hear jack shit. Okay, I got it. I'm still pretty far behind. I just defeated the skewer guy.
So, I'm in the room after that, because I've died so many times in this one room, so you're actually, like, right behind me.
Oh.
So it's still pretty, and it's still pretty evenly matched, which is good. Because if one of us gets too far ahead, it might become a little dry to do. I'm expecting / hoping that it'll be pretty evenly matched for most of this. I mean, obviously one of us is going to win in the end, but I imagine most of it will be pretty evenly matched.
Yeah.
But as far as collectibles are concerned, we have everything except there's one more audio log right before the boss. So, you know, I'll call it out if we miss it, but I think we can both get it. It's in the room with the power seed that you have to get before you activate the boss. As long as you get that, you'll be okay. I'm going to try to save the fusion coil for the Jackal sniper. If I cannot miss. I think I got him. Yeah, I got him. Okay, I'm gonna get that. Oh, no, I didn't. I lied. Turns out I did not get him. Grapple, please. Oh, I want the grapple cooldown so bad. I am eagerly looking forward to being able to get that grapple cooldown. I will say, though, the skull took me less time to get than I expected. I expected to be stuck there for at least 20 minutes. Genuinely. Because of just falling into the... Well, maybe there's an exaggeration, but like just because of how long it takes the grapple to cool down and the precise angle you got to do to get up to that skull. Beyond that, I'm not actually. Oh no, I'm gonna get surrounded. Move, move, move. You can't get me. Hold still, Jackal. And you are now the big dead. Oh, I'm not getting killed by a grunt. Of all the things, a grunt is not going to be the one to take me down. Thankfully, I will say this. It's nice that when you bop a Jackal's shield with a grapple, that doesn't cause it to have to cool down.
Yeah,
so like when you...
That's what I always... Oh, shit. I just sniped. Yeah, I always use that as a way to get their shields. Like, instead of shooting their hand, I always use that instead.
It's nice because sometimes it's hard to shoot their hand.
Yeah.
Especially in this game, because they've actually changed it so that the Jackals will adjust, they'll like rotate their shield to account for the fact that you're trying to shoot their hand. Which is a cool detail, but it makes it harder to do, obviously. There's a lot of things in this game that are like, that's a cool change you made. It also makes the game harder, so, you know, kind of at odds with yourself in terms of phrasing. Oh, God, man, the snipers are just relentless. Not having pistol ammo screwed me over a lot for this. Because I don't really have a consistent, accurate weapon to be able to shoot them down with.
I see.
Once I get my hands on one of their sniper weapons, it'll be good to go. Just getting to that point. Oh, I picked up frag grenades. I didn't even know that. I probably should have been using those. Frag grenades. Okay. Hello, grunts. See you later, friends. Oh, boy. Oh, one more thing about the multiplayer experience. Dynamo grenades are OP as hell.
What are dynamo? Oh, yeah, the shock ones?
Yeah, the ones that shock you and drain you.
Yeah, the shock ones are just stupid. They're actually just stupid.
I believe OP is the term we're looking for. Like, they are blatantly overpowered. They need a nerf to some capacity.
100%.
I don't know how I'd nerf... Like, I guess maybe... How would you nerf it? Would you reduce the amount of shock damage it does? Because I'm not sure what to...
I just take them out of competitive play. I'll be honest.
That works too. Just, you know, removing them from competitive play. But I think even in social it can be a bit annoying. So, in terms of, like, watering down the sandbox somewhat.
Dude, are these fucking...
Snipers.
The sniper hides, I look for him, I start killing ads instead, and then he just peeks out.
Yeah, that's another thing that is simultaneously, like, good design, but also annoying, is that the AI knows when to wait and when to come out of cover, which, when you're not playing, you can look at that and be like, hey, that's cool design. Then you play and you're like, God, why are you so smart with your movement patterns?
So good.
Especially when elites go, like, to hide and cover or whatever. Oh, no. Oh, I just grappled right toward an enemy.
Oh my goodness, there's a kinetic ammo thingy here.
I got stunned by the disruptor. Ow, wow, they flanked me hardcore there. They really, wow, that was a well-coordinated flank on their part. And I believe this checkpoint is decent. I think. It's better than the last one, if nothing else. Do I need... I think I'm good to use. There's one I need to save. I think it's... Yeah, I need to save that. I'll save that for later. Oh, okay, it's still usable. It's still usable. Oh no! I got too distracted thinking about the fusion coil I need to save that I just completely stopped paying attention to my surroundings. That's unfortunate. Okay.
Uh-oh, wait a minute. I'm not ready for this. Uh-oh, what did I do? What did I do? I wasn't ready.
Did you trigger the boss fight?
For this. Oh, no, I didn't. Okay.
You have to get the power seed first?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, just remember to get that audio log by the power seed.
To say. Okay, audio log.
It's hard to... I think it's like right next to the power seed, so I think you kind of can't miss
it. Yeah, I see. Hey, let me turn... I need to turn my game volume back up so I can hear the beats. I'll turn you up, too. Yeah, I got it.
I'm almost there. I just got a few more enemies to clear out. This has been pretty back and forth in terms of who's been ahead of the other.
Yeah.
Which is...
That room is very annoying.
It's very... Yeah, definitely. The two snipers in particular are what make it especially frustrating. Okay, room is clear. Need to get... I think I probably want this, honestly.
Okay, boss fight I think is triggered. I have to do this. Call elevator.
Now we have to... Now we wonder how many times it'll... Watch you get it first try.
I think I had a decent strategy. It's just that it's really annoying if you miss your nades.
Yeah, well, missing nades is a big factor in this. The other thing is that, like, it depends on what weapon, because he has two weapons. He can either use the Bulldog or the Hydra. If he uses the Bulldog, it's pretty easy to stick him. But if he uses the Hydra, it's all bets are off, because that thing, by design, it's a weapon that is designed to lock onto your position. Which, you know, makes it a bit frustrating. Okay, I have triggered the boss battle.
Same.
Except no, I actually lied. I'm literally holding the power seed and I didn't put it in. I went to go push the so I went to go get the power seed before pushing the button where she tells you need to go get the power seed. Now I'm ready to do this. Okay. Calling down Tremonius now.
I need to... Okay, I got one. I think I got both. No, I just got one, of course.
Alright, Tremonius.
Ow! So mean.
Blasted by the Hydra, I'm guessing?
No, it's these stupid jackals. I literally nade both of them, and they just survive.
Yeah, you gotta... I feel like the grenades have been made slightly weaker in this game.
Okay, there we go. Jesus. Son of a gun! Jesus Christ, man. Now Tremonius kills me.
Damn it, oof. The other thing is that there's a fusion coil, or there's plenty of them in the area that you can use to, like, throw at him and the jackals. But if you don't throw it fast enough, then what'll happen is he'll shoot it out of your hand. Damn it.
So, first time this guy doesn't use his jetpack, the second time this guy just spams his jetpack. That's just fun.
That's the other thing that makes it a bit random, is that you never know for sure whether he's going to come towards you or not.
Dude, where the... Dude, I don't know. This guy's too, like, volatile.
Yeah,
this game would be a pain in the ass to defeat with, fucking no skulls.
You mean all skulls?
All skulls. Oh, yeah, pain in the ass.
I still have to do because
see, like now he flies away. He flies far, far, far away, and I have ample. Okay, this is
shit. He was.
I had a better time the first time. This is.
I got him like to a quarter of his health.
I'm not even. I'm dying to these jackals because they're being fucking stupid.
Damn it! I missed the skewer. Oh, I got him. But
dude, fucking die, man! Oh my god, man! This stupid jackal, just die. Why do you have armor? Like, why are you some stupid? Oh my god! And this guy comes out of nowhere.
So I think I figured out what makes the boss so annoying is that it boils down to the RNG of whether he jetpacks towards you or not. Because if he jetpacks towards you, then you can get him into that little archway behind you. And if he's in that archway, then you have like a small contained area to stick him with grenades and stuff like that. But if he jetpacks away from you, then the jackals will move up towards you, and then at that point it's all bets are off.
Yeah, it's just fucking annoying.
Whereas basically, that's what it is. All the other bosses, even the Harbinger technically, don't have minions to fight for them, except for the Spartan killers. Because like,
Killed this stupid idiot.
Shacklock and Bassus and all that, they have minions around them. Sorry, they don't have minions around them, which means it's just the boss themselves. Which I think is what helps to make this harder. Okay, so I'm in the elevator. I've just started Outpost Tremonius, so I'm ready to wrap this up once you're... Did you say you beat him?
Yeah, I just got in the elevator.
Alright, so we'll wrap the episode. I think that was a good first outing.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Didn't have to worry about... Well, I mean, we almost missed an audio log, but thankfully we didn't. We got everything for Foundation, we got everything for Warship of Bracken, which means now we aren't going to be helping each other. I mean, I'm sure I'll probably lend the occasional hand if he needs a hint or something every now and again, and vice versa, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
But we're not going to be, stopping for each other for anything, because now the open world's up, so there's no danger of missing anything. So it'll be more smooth sailing. So that's it for episode 1. Have you reached the top yet?
Yeah, I reached it.
Okay, so we'll end things here. That was it for episode 1. Thank you all for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this. This is certainly a blast for us to do. We're looking forward to recording more. So that'll be it for this time. Thanks all for watching. Stay tuned for next time. This has been GamingMagic13.
And GroupUnicorn71.
And hope to see you all... I don't know if we're going to do this daily or weekly. I don't know when we're going to release them. But we'll see you all next time for the next episode of Halo Infinite Versus. Goodbye.